Hello and welcome to another update video about Solana. Solana is also, like many other coins, in a holding pattern. So still caught in this overall correction, hasn't broken out to the upside yet. And I think the market is just waiting, anticipating the outcome of the SEC decision about the ETF. But what we can do is just to talk about, are there any updates? How is it looking? Certainly today the market looks rather weak, but not much changed really. I mean, most coins are holding support levels, and I mean, depending on the outcome, let's assume they are going to decline the ETF, then we might see some breaks of support levels. Okay, it's quite simple. Here on the Solana chart, that would be the ascending trend line. We have to say very clearly, I mean, both scenarios are possible, right? The short-term bullish one is that the market would move higher in the white count and probably reach $134.80, more likely even $147. So the roadmap here is for the bullish case, the white count, and that allows you to, well, have a target, have an understanding of what is likely going to happen in the event of possibly a positive outcome of the ETF, but I wouldn't even try to tie it to the news, because it could be that they announce the ETF is approved and still sells off. So we just have to be mindful of the two scenarios and know the targets, know the relevant invalidation points, and just the relevant pivots for each scenario, support, resistance levels. And is the trend actually going up, or is it already going down? Where are we here? So in the short-term bullish scenario, the idea is that, yeah, we could still get another extension. So that possibility exists, but it should really start to turn to the upside fairly soon, at the soonest really, because a sustained break below the ascending trend line and a break below the low that was formed on Monday would send it into the larger orange support area, and it will become more and more likely that we are in this yellow count, which is short-term bearish. However, for anybody who's new on the channel, a lot of you who've been watching these videos over the last few weeks, already the perspective, I think the right perspective to take here. They are two scenarios, two ways, two pathways actually of the same, or two pathways to the same target, you could say, or essentially in both scenarios a wave 4 is expected. The only question is the wave 3 already over? Are we already in the wave 4? Then we would see an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave. Or do we get one more extension in the third wave? From here we would then see an ABC structure. But in the event of another high, we would have to adjust the support area, because it's measured in percentages of the previous move. So if the chart trends a little higher than the orange support area, that's really the main support area on this chart, that will obviously have to be moved up as well together with the price. Looking at the short-term price action here, I mean, the longer this takes, I would say the more likely the yellow count gets, but really it's all about prices. So the problem is the white count is, yes, another extension higher, but it is an ending diagonal. And in such an ending diagonal pattern, there isn't really a very reliable support level for a fourth wave. Not really a very reliable one. Typically I use the 50% retracement level of the third wave. And you can see we've broken briefly, okay, but there is no sustained break, and that's the $89.50 level. There's no sustained break below that level. Yeah, it indicates weakness because we broke a few times, but not a sustained break. We're still holding above that level. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is I think the boundaries are a little bit fluid here between these two scenarios. Difficult to say which one it is. I don't see a very, let's say, a highly reliable trade setup from here anyway. I mentioned that. It's basically in a mode of waiting for the market to clarify its intentions. There are clearly better setups out there at the moment. I see a few setups that could emerge. For example, if the yellow count plays out, and this was the A wave, we're now in a B wave somehow. It's very weak, but the B wave could also form a triangle here. So let's assume we are now in a B wave in yellow. and the C wave down happens, and that would be a 5-wave move. Then the first wave, the wave 1, if it's clear, and the wave 2 rally, which should form a lower high, could provide a short trade setup, then it should go on like that. And then this area would be a long trade setup. But we cannot put the short trade setup on the chart because there's no clear structure at the moment in the short term. It's just moving in corrective patterns. Or if the white count plays out, which would be one more extension higher, then it would be something like this: A wave, B wave, C wave, but it starts to get very messy. Then once the larger A wave is complete of wave 5, we get a B wave pullback. If that's corrective, it could be a setup for higher. But it's all not very clear. So, you know, it's a misconception that you always have to be in the market, because I see it sometimes in the comments. You know, some people, I sometimes read, oh yeah, okay, it's not clear when it, you know, when does it finally get clear? Well, if it's clear, then we have a setup. Okay, we you know, or when reward and so you have there are two main scenarios when you get setups. One is when you have a really good reward to risk ratio. I don't see that from here. Okay. The other one is when the chart is really clear, and I don't see that. Most cases charts aren't clear. Okay, but when they get clear, we have a setup, and the skill and discipline of a trader lies in waiting for clarity to emerge. And just waiting most of the time, you know, you should be waiting anyway, and just act when the market makes an opportunity available. At the moment, this is because it literally could go both ways. Yeah. I would nearly say the market has intentionally chosen such a structure to tell us, look, we are all waiting for the SEC outcome, but it's still worth knowing the relevant boundaries and the parameters for each scenario. I can tell you that should we break below Monday's low, it's going to get very likely that we are in the yellow wave 4, but it will depend on the structure. Okay, so as long as pullbacks are really, really very corrective, we might need to keep the door open for a direct extension. So not much more to say really. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.